Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Llama. This is game number 2 of AHGL's Team Epic versus Team Twitter. Spine down in the bottom left-hand corner in the blue color is our Zerg player, J-Dub. And I do believe J-Dub has never lost a match, or never lost a game. So even though Team Epic is 15-0 so far in their AHGL time playing, good luck, have fun, go Ravens. So it looks like we do have a Ravens fan. Of course, he's talking about the Super Bowl, but you know, maybe he's trying to throw a little StarCraft humor in there as well. But yeah, so they have they're 15-0, but they've lost a couple games here and there, though not the full matches. But J-Dub himself, I don't think, has lost a single game yet. And his opponent is going to be Twitter's Invictus, the red Protoss spine down in the bottom right-hand corner. The map is Newkirk District, I do believe. I haven't played too much on these new maps right here, and I know that this one was brought into Wings of Liberty as well. So I have played it a couple times, and of course, the thing that I kind of want to note is taking a third base is quite difficult. So you have the third base either way up here, and then you have the ramp right here to block, as well as this giant ramp, and then all that room to your natural, so that's kind of a distant third. And then you have the third in front of your base, but it's kind of, I don't know, you still have like big attack path coming in from here and from over here, so it's still kind of a weird place for a Protoss to take a third base. We'll have to see if Invictus can get it down, if it even gets to that point. So far it looks pretty standard to me. We see J-Dub getting his pool here, Invictus over here looking to go for a Nexus expand, but J-Dub not going to let that happen, going to force another probe to come down, so going to be able to delay that for at least a little bit of time here, and going to force a Forge first, actually, out of Invictus. So very nice delaying there by J-Dub, and needs to be careful not to lose that drone, going to go ahead and pull it back, and in the meantime getting his hatch down, as well as it looks like there was no scout from Invictus. Okay, so he scouted, saw the pool, and did not care to deny this hatchery. So interesting choice right there. But I mean, as a Zerg player myself, I would be extremely happy with that. I love not having to deal with a blocked hatchery with a pylon or a probe that has really good micro or anything like that. So I'm imagining J-Dub going to go ahead and possibly go for his third base, but then again, he could take a gas because this is Heart of the Swarm, and there's still a variety of things that can be done in this game, a variety of options to be explored, but he is sending the drone over there, and he's actually going to take this third kind of far away right here. And you have to remember that if the Protoss goes for some sort of two-base all-in, that could be a little vulnerable because it does leave where it does leave it where the Protoss can kind of be like right here and block off reinforcements, or he can head over here, force field off this ramp, and then just head up there and kill the base. He could drop a pylon up over here and charge up this little ramp up at the top. I mean, there's a lot of options, I feel like, for a two-base all-in. The only issue, of course, is that you have a decent walking distance across the map to get there. So we'll have to see if Invictus is going to try that. Maybe he'll go for a fast third. Maybe he's going to open up Stargate play. Oracles are a great unit to use in this matchup, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. Simply getting in there and just roasting away those drones so quickly. If you get a few of them, they can burn away a queen. I mean, they just do a ton of damage. So third base, getting close to finishing up right here, and still no tell for Invictus what he's going to do. He has grabbed the double gas in his main at this time, so pretty standard play, as I said before. Looks a lot like Wings of Liberty play, and we'll have to see if we're going to get a Mothership Core out of Invictus, because in that last game we saw Surreal never get the Mothership Core, and I just think he forgot it. It's one of those things where if you're a Protoss player, you're so used to never building anything out of this Nexus until that Mothership, besides probes, that sometimes you can easily just forget it and, you know, just move on, be like, oh yeah, I'm just doing my normal Wings Liberty build, and forget that you have use of that Mothership Core, which is a good unit, and of course is always strong in all of these Protoss all-ins. So there's the Mothership Core. It will be popping out, and the other nice thing about the Mothership Cores, you can deny scouting in the early game in ZVP. So you can actually just head over here, pick off the Zerglings, keep them off the towers, and just be annoying as you want, as it does have a decent move speed at 1.88 right there. It's nothing crazy fast, but faster than it used to be in some of the earlier patches. So we see a robotics facility going down, 2 more gases being added on. Are we going to see an Immortal Sentry all in with the Mothership Core? Very possible, but then again, it could just be Immortal Sentry expand. Immortal is on the way right now, not quite being chronoed out, and our Zerg player is getting an Overlord in position to go for a scout if he does want. So Invictus just trying to be a little annoying, and oh, that's really nice too. He can actually start picking off Overlords with the high ground vision that this Mothership Core does provide. So I mean, this is just kind of the strength of the Mothership Core in the early game of ZVP, is it really gives the Protoss that map control, and not just for picking off lings and stuff at towers, but additionally for doing things like we just saw, where he picks off Overlords on the high ground. He will have to be careful with this Stalker though, as he is going to be running fairly close with these lings, but the Mothership Core are going to be able to do a little bit of damage right there, and Pylon going down for Invictus. So what do we have going on in our Zerg player's base? We have a Roach Chamber, or Roach Warren coming down, as well as an Evo Chamber. A little bit late for my taste, but still not too bad. He's also getting a Lair. Speed is on the way right there, about a minute left until that finishes up, and oh, the Pylon does get scouted. Was it by actually? It might have actually been by that Overlord up there. That is really high up. So he will be clearing that off, and then as well getting in and scouting exactly what's going on in this base, because there is no anti-air anywhere. He doesn't have any units in here. Where are all of the units for Invictus is my question. So I guess he just had the Stalker over there, and that was it. And I'm not even sure, I don't think he used the recall, so I think a Stalker did die right there. Of course, you have to remember that Protoss does have that recall function, where they can just mass recall all of the units to a target nexus, so he could have saved that Stalker if he so chose. But looks like he did not, and our Zerg player now grabbing a Hydra Den over here. So going to be moving into the Hydra Tech. Does he have the speed upgrade? Oh, that's actually on the Hydra list Den, excuse me. So of course, as I'm sure many of you guys know now, Zerg has the ability to get their Hydras with some speed, and we're going to see possibly a Ling run by here. He's definitely being a little bit safe with it. And Invictus in the meantime looks like he's most likely just going to be expanding off of this. I don't think that force is really quite set to go for any sort of all-in at this time, and J-Dub just continuing to pump out lings, and now with the Hydras I think he'll be in a decent position to hold this. Invictus though looking to actually continue with this push. So he does have the Mothership Core. I mean, he doesn't have too much though. It is the Immortal Sentry, but he's missing a couple sentries. And there he's going to try and drop a third base. That's not going to happen. Are these lings going to get into the base? No, it looks like they will not. There's going to be a couple zealots right there. But we are going to see this army go up against Hydras, which have fairly good DPS. They do not have the move speed yet, but they are about to finish their range upgrade actually at this point. And the lings looking to swoop in from behind. So I'm imagining that Invictus is not going to want to continue. Nice force field right there, able to trap a few lings. And he should just be pulling back at this point. I feel like the Zerg has had enough time to get units out to defend. If he really wants to continue with this attack, it would be quite scary. And the Zerg's actually going to bring the fight to him right here, as the lings kind of get a surround right there. Going to be able to pick off a few units. And was that the Warp Prison that went down, or the Mothership Core that went down? That was the Mothership Core that actually went down right there. And this is not looking too good for Invictus. Going to be forced to back off. Does not have any force fields left, I don't think, in that army right here. So definitely needs to be careful. And he just wants to back up and go home at this point. Get some reinforcements. Here comes some Stalkers. That's definitely going to be helpful right here. And we're going to see, I'd imagine, J-Dub wanting to move back. And he's going to be losing a few Hydras now, as they do not have that move speed upgrade. However, the lings will come streaming in. So that's definitely going to be helpful. Zealots should be able to clean those up. And Invictus looks like he'll be able to force that Zerg army back, at least temporarily, and get his third base up. And the surprise thing here is that J-Dub does not have a fourth base on the way yet, so he's still just stuck on these 3 bases. He does have this macro hatch right here, so that's definitely going to help in getting some units out But at this point, I feel like moving into a 4th base and start trying to transition to more lair tech would be a good idea. And he just hasn't quite made that transition yet. So still not in a terrible position, though. It's not like he's behind whatsoever. And he is just droning up a ton at this point. And 3rd base now has been established for Invictus. Transferring some probes over from a very lowly mined natural right there. So there's not any probes really mining right there. Where are all of his workers is my question. And leaves the Overseer alone, actually. Colossus now has joined the army, so those lings should melt fairly quickly. And it looks like we're going to see J-Dub try and do some damage. Not going to be too effective, though, right there, as the Colossus is great against light units, and Hydralisk and Zerglings are both light. So just doing a ton of damage. Not that they have extra damage versus light, I don't think, but they just do so much damage. And these Hydralisk only have 80 HP, and Lings, of course, only have 35 HP. So, with the... do we have a +1? Yes, we do. We do have a +1 attack upgrade, and that's actually to 17. Okay, cool. Yeah, so anyways, our Zerg player now just continuing to mass up units here for his army, taking a 4th and a 5th base at this time. Going to go ahead and double expand as he feels to be in a good position. No speed for either Roaches or Hydras, so they're both kind of slowpokes chugging along out there. But speed is on the way for the both of them, and it looks like we're going to see our Zerg player try and get into a good position here. Going to be able to catch all of the sentries right there. Or 3 or 4 actually, not quite all of them, but doing a ton of damage, able to box his Protoss army into kind of a crevice right here, and a couple more Colossus, or one more Colossus is going to pop out. One Colossus will fall, but it looks like Invictus should be able to hold this and repel it. Yeah, so he will push it back. Does lose a Colossus in that fight. Still keeps 2 Immortals, though. Very important to have for future Roach fights that you will have later on, and he needs to continue getting his workers up. I'm not seeing probes in the production tab, but that would be very good. You do not just want to be stuck at 55 probes, especially, and it looks like he did transfer some dudes to his natural because he was oversaturated in his main and not much at his natural. But it looks like Invictus possibly just going to take this into a push. He could possibly take out this 4th base at the front. And I'm not quite sure what our Zerg player has. He has a lot of supply, but I don't know where his army is. It seems it's all split up. He's going to go for a counterattack right here instead and try and do some economic damage at the back, while our player Invictus is going to try and take out this 4th base up front. And J-Dub, of course, is using this 4th base up top instead. So there is a minor armor right there. It does look like this, oh no, not going to actually get cleaned up, as some extra Hydras and Roaches do join in. And here we're going to have an engagement right at the natural here of J-Dubs. Is he going to be able to do enough damage? It doesn't look like he has enough force fields to really block anything off. The Hydras have the range upgrade, and with the speed upgrade on both of these units, they're going to be able to chase down all of these units, or at least the Colossus and the Immortal, I would imagine. So losing a lot of tech. In the meantime, he's still doing a ton of damage here at the 3rd base. Has not quite picked off this 3rd base, but has picked off a lot of units, has picked off pylons, has picked off cannons, and now more units going to be streaming in to try and defend. And will Invictus finally be able to defend this? I'm not quite sure. Looks like this 3rd base actually going to fall right here as J-Dub pushes in with the rest of his Roach Hydra army. So strong at this point, and sentries, of course, just going to have to be warped in to get some force fields up to protect him for a little while. But this is not looking good whatsoever. We do see that the hive now has been started for our Zerg player, so he did, of course, delay his hive in favor of getting out all these units right here, all of these Roaches and Hydras. But it seemed to work pretty well for him as he killed off his opponent's 3rd base, and now is going to get the Cybernetics core. No, he's going to back off and leave the Cybernetics core with 34 HP. So unfortunate for him right there. I think he was definitely trying to come back and focus it, and just accidentally left it alone right there. And this little Roach just being a hero Roach, trying to pick away at this one assimilator. So the only thing that you can really look at right now is these upgrades are very low for J-Dub. He's only on 1 ground carapace, 0 attack upgrades, versus the 1/1 right here with the +2 on the way. Though I suppose he does have his 2/1 on the way as well. So when these upgrades do finish, they will be even. But for right now, Invictus is in the better upgrade position. but J-Dub is in such a better economical position. I mean, just look at how many drones he's at. He has 77 to the 49 workers of his opponent. He's on Hive Tech at this point. I mean, he's just in a really good position, and additionally, he is basically maxed out on this Roach Hydra, very strong composition that can take out pretty much what Invictus has at the time. As you can see, he's only at 119 supply, so he needs to somehow find a way to get a third base re-established where he can defend that and try and kind of reestablish himself economically, I suppose. But he's still not making probes. I suppose he doesn't need to make them since he's mined out of his main, so he's simply mining on his natural. So there we go, now taking his third base. And Vipers on the field, which I don't think we've seen too much of in the AHGL. At least not in the games that I've casted. I don't think a lot of them have gone to Zerg Hive Tech. So of course the fun abilities consume, which means they just go ahead and leech on or just kind of suck away at one of their units or buildings, hatcheries, roach horns, whatever, and gain energy. And then additionally they have the pool, which is abduct, and they just go grab a unit and pool it to them. And then they have Binding Cloud, which they cast over range units, and those units can only attack at range 1. So here it looks like we might have an engagement from J-Dub, and he might be going in with the Vipers first to pull out those Colossus. It is going to get thrown down, and there he goes. He's going to actually drop a couple of Binding Clouds, so as you can see, that Stalker cannot attack right there. He pulled a couple of Colossus to their deaths very quickly, and now he's just going to start pushing forward with the Roaches and Hydras. And probably just head over here to take out this third base, honestly, because if he can just starve out his opponent, it will leave him in a terrible position. And he's pulling some random units at this time, not pulling the Colossus, not enough energy to pull the Colossus, and now he's just going to focus down this third base because he does not want him mining, and at that point he can simply retreat and be in a pretty good position. So Invictus in a very, very tough situation now. His Zerg opponent is up to 6 bases at this time, is mining off of 5 of them, and of course can switch over to his 6th base when he mines out of his natural, or if he just wants some more gas. But I mean, now the bank's just going to start going up very quickly, as we see our Zerg opponent is, or our Zerg player is on a 200 max army. Does have the 2-1 upgrade, so they are pretty much equal on upgrades, and now he's just going to push in yet again, drop some more binding clouds, gonna pull those Colossus out to at least force them to micro away. Not able to quite kill them off yet, gonna be able to drop one of them, and with the reinforcing units right here, should be able to just push this to his victory, as I don't really think that Invictus has too much left to defend. A couple sentries, couple stalkers, 1 Colossus. There's another one popping out, so he might be able to hold off for one more fight if he wants. But no, he's going to GG out, and Epic goes up 2-0 in this best of 5. If they can win one more game, they will be able to sweep this series. We'll have to see what happens in game number 3.